من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome to another show live from the holy city of Karbala, here as we are commemorating the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, the grandson of the Prophet, here trying to bring you the sights and sounds of the holy city and learning some lessons along the way, inshallah. Before we begin, I've been asked by the organizers to read a short ziyarah to the shrine, so inshallah if you join me as we turn toward my master and our master Abu Abdullah, and we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bi thana'ik alayka minni salam Allah abadan ma baqit وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Before we begin the show, they returned to Medina, land of Zahra's broken rib. The Pope calls out to the people and cries out, "O people, O land of Yathrib, they've decimated the house of the father of Zaynab." And out comes running a woman, old age, and her voice name. To see my beloved return, he replies, and of Hussein, all of his ribs were broken. Once beheaded by Shimmer, he was left to lay there bare, his girls watching in despair. al-Baneen strikes her head from wails her tongue can't refrain. Her wails echo through her house, mother of sons no longer called. She is still lamenting when "You have a guest," she is told. "Who are you?" she asks her guest. "A woman, frail and old." The woman says, "Don't you recall me? My grief has made me elderly, for I am Zaynab bint Ali. If you'd seen the things that I'd seen, you would never look the same. I brought the hands of Abbas, and I brought Hussein's turban. Let us lament together and fuel this fire within. I saw Abu Fadl fall. I saw Abu Fadl fall, and I saw Hussein's last moments. The crying will never end. To lament, even angels descend. This grief too few comprehend. They throw Hussein's blood upward, saying return it toward his veins. They throw Hussein's blood upward, saying return it toward his veins. Assalamu alaikum, ya Abu Abdullah al-Hussein.
سرخ شد باز آسمون، کیه که پر زده مردی نموند آخه تو جمعمون دیگه، کیه که پر زده کیه که پر زده. زینب بگو کجا حسین نیومده، اسخر تو دستشه دلم چه شور زده، دلم چه شور زده، کیه که پر زده. این بود تو آسمون و شام اصغره، عطرش پیچیده بود نگید که پر زده، نگید که پر زده. سرخی آسمون از خون اصغره، بچم کجاست بگید نگید که پر زده، نگید که پر زده. خونی شده دوتا دست و دو سن، بگو که چرا تو کجاست به سرم، چرا سر به زیری، چرا حسین تو چرا مگه آبی ندادن به علی آخه ساکته خوندی لالایی براش یا بخونم واسه آبیده لا 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 علی اصغر، لا 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 گل پرپر، لا 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 علی اصغر، لا 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 گل پرپر. احمرت السماء من ذا الذي قتل، لم يبقى عندنا للنصر من بطل، تبكي لمن سمع، تبكي لمن سمع. هل عاد للحسين وقد روى الرضيع، أخشى عليه من أن يقتدي سري، فهل أتاه فهل أتاه. أشم في السماء من ابني العبيد، لا تخبروني قد قتلوا الصغير، قد قتلوا الصغير، قد خضب السماء دماك يا هوى، لم يبق لي سوى نحيبي في بلا، نحيبي
Alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome back to this show live from the Holy City of Karbala here on Imam HUSSEIN TV. I'm honored to be joined once again by Sayed Ali Nawab. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidina. Thank you for joining us once again. If we can start with a short salam to Abu Abdullah alayhi salam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليك وعلى أخيك قمر العشيرة أبي الفضل العباس، وعلى أختك الحوراء زينب، وعلى أم البنين الطاهرة، وعلى أصحابك المستشهدين بين يديك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa Hussein Sayyidina. So Sayyidina, today in the holy city of Karbala and in many centers across the world, they are commemorating Lady al-Baneen, salamu alayha, who, as we all know, was a woman of true inspiration and defiance, a woman who gave her children in the way of Islam and Imam Hussein's message of freedom, and was more than happy to do so. I think what's incredible and the kind of uphill slope that we're fighting right now as Muslims in the West is that there is this narrative that Islam oppresses women, and that women mean nothing in Islam or are viewed as less than men for a variety of different reasons. Before we get into the role of women in today's society in Islam, if we can just take a step back and look at what the role of women has been in different civilizations across the ages.
Of course, if we can just have a short introduction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, which is the book that mainly the Muslims get their education from, get their knowledge from, get their code of conducts from, alongside the teachings and the narrations of the Holy Prophet and his holy progeny. In the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Hujurat, which is chapter 49, verse number 13, a very famous verse that speaks about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us from male and female, one entity divided into male and female, and that they may be from different backgrounds, different cultures, different tribes. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. O mankind, we created you of a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know each other. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you may know each other, means you go research about one another, come to know their style of living, their habits, their attitude, their basically their way of life.
I think, subhanAllah, say just between your words, a lot of people look at this verse and say what this verse means is that it's okay to be somewhat proud of where you're from. I remember someone was telling me once that this means that we can be proud of our heritage and our culture, which I'm not saying it's not the case, but really what the verse is saying, if anything, is that you should be more humbled about where you're from and your cultural surroundings, because there are people that are different than you.
Yes, of course, you have to be humble, and at the same time you have to be open to receive other nations, other cultures. Don't be racist, don't be somewhat, you close yourself within a certain denomination within a certain group of people and say, I am superior than the other. Because this same thing Rasulullah came to comment about when he came and said, no man is superior to another. Full stop. Oh people, this is the message of Islam. And nowadays we hear people from left, right and center coming saying that Islam is a religion of oppression. It oppresses people, oppresses men, oppresses women, oppresses children. And Islam is a religion which is racist. It's not. Rasulullah, the Prophet of Islam, says, no man is superior to another on account of race or color. Where are the nations that come and say that we are superior because we are of this color or that color? Come and see the message of Islam 1,400 years ago. Taqwa, which is wisdom stroke piety, alone is the distinction. Fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And practicing the message of Islam, which is the message of peace and freedom. And being wise about your lifestyle, about your decision making. This is what differentiates men and women. Not color, not race, not superiority. Let's take examples from historical civilizations and see how they treated their women. Because tonight I wanted to concentrate on an important entity in the human family tree, which is the female. And unfortunately, the women, the Muslim women, especially those who live in the West, are at the moment being targeted by societies, by groups, saying that Islam oppresses the female, oppresses the woman, as if she is imprisoned behind, for example, that hijab, behind certain practices. Through this discussion tonight, I wanted to clarify to our brothers and sisters, and especially the sisters, and from the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, taking examples of Karbala and the women around the issue of Ashura, how the mentality of the Western society today about Muslim women and women in general as a whole is a mistaken ideology. For example, the Egyptian and the Pharaohs, a very well-known civilization,
one of the most powerful civilizations,
which was one of the most powerful civilizations. This civilization, although it gave the female the ability and the opportunity to share power with the emperor, with the pharaoh, but at the same time, if the pharaoh was to pass away, that wife or that female that was in relationship with the pharaoh had to be buried alive with the pharaoh, because everywhere he goes, she has to go. If she's in this life with him, she has to be with him in the other life.
And not just killed, but buried alive.
Buried in the same tomb. And the Egyptians at the time of the Fara'ina, at the time of the pharaohs, they used to sacrifice the most beautiful lady they had every year, throw her in the Nile, just for the sake of pleasing their gods. This is a civilization, thousands of years ago, but it stands until today. Some people, they chant the Egyptian civilization, the civilization of the pharaohs. What kind of a civilization sacrifices an innocent individual and throws her into the Nile, into the water? Or some civilizations like the Indian civilization, they used to burn the female. Let alone the Roman and the Greek civilization, how they deprived them, the female, from any benefits. They used to treat the female as a tool, as a game, as a source of enjoyment. No freedom and no social status at all. And this is not something I am making up. Go and research, go and read, go and look at the documentaries that they themselves have created about the Romans and the Greeks. No inheritance, she is not allowed to inherit. That's the female in the Greek and the Roman Empire. She is not allowed to ask for divorce if she was abused. if she was neglected her rights, if she had enough of life, she had no right to ask for divorce. And no education. And today, the West, those who are proud of the Roman and the Greek civilization, they say, we have to push people for education, we have to allow people to have free education, to be educated. Where were you thousands of years ago when the Greek and the Romans were depriving their women from education? And they say that Islam is depriving the female from certain rights. In China, let's see another civilization. In China, the women and the female were most oppressed. Now, this is a civilization today which is proud of its manufacturing and agriculture and what you have of technologies today. Here, China, many years ago, used to oppress their women. The husband used to take all the female's belongings without the female saying a word. The female has belongings, has something she owns, of jewelry, of equipment, of clothing, whatever. The men or the husband used to take that and do whatever he wants with it without the female saying anything. It's as if he owns her and he owns her goods. No marriage after death of the husband. Again, what is she going to do? Who's going to look after her? How is she going to live life? How is she going to support herself? If there was no education, if she had no rights, if you oppressed her, what is she going to do? Live life as a poor person in poverty? And she was looked down upon like an animal. They were treated worse than animals. And they used to be either sacrificed or burnt alive, like the Indian civilization. Let's look at the other religions. These were civilizations. Let's look at other religions. And the best example I can give you from the Holy Quran about how other religions other than Islam used to treat women, from the Holy Quran. Look at the Holy Quran and see how Sayyidah Maryam, the mother of Prophet Isa, was treated by the Jews at that time. They belittled her, they started oppressing her, they started calling her names, they titled her with wrong titles, they banished her, they banned her from entering certain places or living amongst them. And this is a lady, a noble lady, a holy lady, a faithful lady, a clean lady that did not commit any sin. But then they titled her without investigating. Christianity, again one of the world religions today. Let's look back at past history and see how they treated the women at the time of the church, when they used to rule parts of the Western societies. And we come to the Arabs. Now they say, okay, you are Arabs, you are going to defend the women and yourselves. No. I am not going to hide away from the true fact that Arabs, pre-Islam, the Arabians, used to bury the female alive. And used to...
Out of shame.
Out of shame. Because they thought that the female used to bring them shame. She used to use up resources without bringing anything to the clan or to the tribe. The male used to be powerful, go out, fight, war, loot, work, grow, anything. But the female used to stay back at home. And most of the civilizations used to give the lowest and the most terrible of jobs to the female. And they used to be servants. In the time of the Arabians, the women were made into maids. They used to be bought and sold. But when Islam came, it gave the female the position she needs, and it gave her all the rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the female in the Holy Quran. Now, nowadays, let's come back to our life today. there has been many investigations and many researches and many case studies about how women live life today.
Yeah, SubhanAllah said, I mean, just to jump in there, it's amazing because, you know, the focus generally in society is on Islam and how Islam oppresses women. And you know, there's many kind of points that critics make. The main one, I think, the mainly overt one, is the fact that women are covering their hair, etc. But just generally, when you look at, you know, like you're about to allude to studies and just general society today in the West, we see that women are also being incredibly oppressed. You see, for example, generally there is this huge sexualization of women. You know, I think the capital world knows that sex sells, right? So women are used as objects, just like you were saying back in these different civilizations, just to make money and to make business.
Yes.
And generally, you know, recently there's been this whole movement, it's called the Me Too movement. So many women coming forward and saying that, you know, just day to day at our jobs, at school, growing up, we are, you know, touched by men without permission. We are abused by men. We are put in situations that we don't want to be in. And it's reading these stories, it's absolutely crazy to think that me and you, living in the West, you know, day to day, living our lives, we don't realize how many women actually suffer from this. And so, subhanAllah, you know, people may criticize Islam. But there's no doubt that just the state of women in the West is far from perfect, if not shocking.
Now, as you said, let's go back to the so-called largest democracy in the world and see how their women, how the female in the States, in the United States of America are living. Okay? Now, this is a research done a couple of years ago, which says that 50% of the women that live in the United States of America, 50%, half of the women that live in the United States of America, they live with emotional problems, anxiety, depression, psychological illnesses. Why is that? Because the media in the Western societies has portrayed the female in a way, as you said, they've sexualized the female so much to say that if you don't look like the female on TV, then you are not worth living. They've objectified the female, turned her into an object, rather than the female being a mother, being half of the society, being an individual that provides new generations, educate the generations to come. But they've objectified them. They've sexualized the female. And unfortunately, this is reaching to children and teens, young teens. Now, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you used to see children behave like children. But nowadays, you see female children behave like 20, 25-year-olds. You know, they show them cartoons and media on TV, teaching them how to put on makeup or how to come out with style and fashion.
I think it's incredible, Sayed, because obviously, you know, neither of us can really relate to what women have gone through. But I've personally spoken to women who are in this situation, who, like you said, because they're told to be a certain way by media, which they're bombarded with every day, TV, internet, when they go to school, music, general culture that they're living in, they're bombarded with this idea that they have to look a certain way, and not just look a certain way, but be out there and be attractive and be seductive almost toward men. And because women, you know, because it's something that's very unattainable, you know, unfortunately, the nature of the relationship between male and female is that male generally will never be satisfied, so women always feel like they're thrown away to the side, right? And that's not a feeling that any human being wants, to make feel like you're worthless or you're nothing. And that's what's contributing to all this depression.
Unfortunately, and this is something that as soon as the faster we realize this, the quicker we are going to save ourselves and save our families. And this is a message to our sisters, our mothers, our friends and family members, that there are certain powers out there, certain societies that want the worst for the Muslim women by attracting them and by bombarding them with Western civilization or with civilization which is alien to Islam. Unfortunately, this is being successful and is getting into our families. Because I have seen this with my own eyes. Individuals who migrated to the West 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and their women and their children and their sisters, they used to put on a very beautiful hijab, the hijab that Fatima al-Zahra and Lady Zaynab called for, with the ul abaya and the Arabic hijab. But you see in the recent history, as they see on the media, as they see advertised on fashion stores, in Islamic countries and outside Islamic countries, unfortunately that fashion is overpowering the Islamic hijab or the looks. And they think that if they remain covering themselves with the abaya, for example, that is going to mean that people will look at them and say that you are backwards, you are still Asian. Why don't you develop yourself? They think that by putting away your hijab, you are going to be living life as in 2019.
And subhanAllah, Sayyid, it's a very, very tough battle, you know, to be battling that for so long. And it's definitely something that, you know, I think I wouldn't look at it as I wouldn't look down necessarily on women who decide to fall into these vices. I think it's more just about, it's more looking at it like a struggle or even a sickness or something that needs to be fixed, right? Because even, you know, all of us in the West are really bombarded by a culture that really wants to strip us of our spirituality and our dignity. But women specifically, I mean, as we discussed in the beginning, you know, are really made to be, you know, the society itself wants women to be objects so that they can sell, so that they can make money. And that's what we're falling into the trap of.
That's why when we started with the message of Islam and with the message of the Quran, is that we have to be source of affecting the societies and the climate around us, not allowing the society or the communities or the environment or the climate around us to change us. I know it's difficult, it's very difficult, it's severely difficult to live in the middle of corruption, to live in the middle of societies where they teach you 24/7 to act in a certain way, to dress in a certain way. It's very difficult. It's like eating something which has been rotten or broken, and you gradually start being poisoned, and at the end your body will be poisoned, because there are people who are growing up in that situation, and if no one, unfortunately, there are no individuals who take that responsibility to continuously educate our youth, especially the female, about the necessity to stick to the Islamic teachings, because if they leave, they will go astray, and if they go astray, they've lost everything.
Well, this is a very important subject. Inshallah, we'll continue discussing it after the break. You're watching IMAM HUSSEIN TV. We're live from the holy city of Karbala, and we'll be back after this short break. Truly a wonderful feeling to be standing here at night. As I've been mentioning in live shows, one of the most beautiful things about Muharram is that you, like Arba'een, you get the processions and people in mourning, and you have so much going on. But at the same time at night, because it's only really the local people of Karbala who are mourning, you get this feeling of being able to come at night and do your ziyarah peacefully. It's really a wonderful experience to be able to come here every single night and pray at the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And for those of you who tuned in last night, one of the most beautiful things we mentioned is that there's a beautiful hadith from the book Nafs al-Mahmum by Allama Abbas al-Qummi, which speaks about what's actually happening at the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So as you can see behind me, when we all go to ziyarah, what we see really is the physical. So we see the metal bars, the beautiful architecture, absolutely beautiful area, and the beautiful grave of Imam Hussein himself. What we don't see, the metaphysical world, is what the hadith mentions, and I'm just paraphrasing, is Imam Hussein alayhi salam himself almost kneeling, sitting down on top of his grave, speaking to the people that are speaking to him, handing them out their wishes, and the thousands of angels who are around him. And that is truly a sight and something that has really changed my perspective on ziyarah. I'm honored to be joined here by Sayed Ali Nawab. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidina. Inshallah, we're going to go inside and pray for you all. Sayyid, how are you feeling right now before you go into your ziyarah? Any messages and comments for our viewers?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As my brother said, it's truly an honor. It's truly an honor for us to be here. It's approximately 2:30 in the morning, and as you can see, the city is as if the sorrows and the pains of Imam Hussein alayhi salam doesn't let people sleep at all. See, they come in their groups, young men, mainly youth. They come at this time of the morning. They come to visit Abu Abdullah Hussein. You can see women and children. They come, they stand by the gates of the shrine of Abu Abdullah Hussein, and very quietly just put their gaze on the grave of Abu Abdullah Hussein, because you can clearly see the cage over the grave of Abu Abdullah Hussein. Just speak your mind, speak your heart to Abu Abdullah Hussein. It's just the cool breeze, although the weather is hot, but there is cool breeze coming from inside the shrine of Abu Abdullah Hussein. You feel you are literally in the heavens, because Abu Abdullah Hussein is Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah. He is the master of the youth of the paradise. And Jannah, the paradise, without Abu Abdullah Hussein is not paradise. So if we say that Abu Abdullah Hussein is the master of the youth of the paradise in the heavens, then where he is buried is no doubt the paradise itself. So at the moment that we are speaking to you, we are at the doorsteps of the paradise. We are in front of the location of the paradise itself. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our prayers for you. We will shortly go inside and we will pray for every single one of you. I know how heartbreaking it is for you to be able to see this footage that you are seeing now, and wish that you was physically present in Karbala. I would pray that you will join us inshallah in the future months.
That was a short video that we recorded, me and Sayed Ali yesterday morning, outside the shrine of our beloved Imam alayhi salam. It's truly been a wonderful experience to be able to go ziyarah every day, and myself and Sayed Ali are not forgetting you in your du'as wherever you may be. Sayed, so just continuing the discussion, I think it is definitely amazing that as we've been saying, that Islam has come under such criticism about the females, about the role of the female in Islam, especially when you look at the status of a female, the real status of a female in Western societies, and even in Eastern societies as well as generally all over the world. Now, looking at Islam specifically, do we have any, I mean, we know that we do have, but can you guide us through female role models who are real exemplars of what a woman can be in Islam?
Of course, Islam has a cure and has an answer for everything. Now, all the problems that anyone in the Western societies face, there is a cure for it. Islam gives you the answer for everything. And the problems that the female is going through in the Western society, Islam comes and gives you similar individuals, similar females that went through difficulty in their life, but did not allow the climate around them to change them and have an effect on them. For example, we have Asiya bint Muzahim, the wife of the Fir'aun. She was an individual who was very faithful. She was a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everyone around her used to worship idols and worship Fir'aun, because Fir'aun used to say, Ana rabbukum al-a'la, I am your God. But she was in the middle of corruption. She did not allow Fir'aun or those around her to force her to change her belief, but she stood fast. Asiya went through many difficulties until one day Fir'aun, her husband, found out that she had changed her belief and become someone who was worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he decided to torture her, pressurizing her to leave that worship. of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but she did not. She stood there with her strong belief and held it until the end. Now you female, take Asiya bint Muzahim as an example, as a role model for yourself. Now what you are going through, or what you may be going through in the West, with people pressurizing you about your hijab, with people pressurizing you about your iman and faith, the fact that you are modest, the fact that you take Fatima al-Zahra as a role model, your akhlaq is akhlaq of Sayyidah Zaynab, you don't want to be mixing with the opposite sex just for mere fun. Now here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He supported Asiya bint Muzahim and gave her her prominent position in the paradise and made her one of the female role models for people to follow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you. But the most important thing to remember is that Man kana ma'Allah kana Allahu ma'ah. If you remain worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking for help and aid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will definitely help you. But make sure that you don't give up, because many people gradually, step by step, they start going off the track. They say, you know, I love Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, I go to majalis, I wear black, I will wear my abaya when I go to the Husseiniyya or to the masjid. But after Muharram, you see, they change their appearance again. Do you not cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? Do you not shed tears when you hear the masa'ib and the tragedy of Lady Zaynab and what she had to go through? You do. I know you do. I know you carry the love of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and Lady Zaynab in your hearts. But what is it that is pulling you? You need to sit down and think with yourself. Is it worth it for me to put away my hijab, to put away my abaya, to put away my honor and dignity on the side at home, and leave and go through that doorstep and come out in the community, in the society out there in front of those men and women who are not related to you and show yourself in that fashionable manner? How do you think Lady Zaynab or Lady Fatima al-Zahra is going to react towards you if you, with the same attire, with the same fashion and with the same hijab, or so-called hijab, you was to present yourself to in Karbala, for example, on the day of Ashura? Of course you would be ashamed. Of course that will say, what am I doing here uncovered in front of Lady Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam? For example, we have the mother of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, wa alayhi salam. Mother of Prophet Musa lived at the time of the tyrant who was pressurizing women to give up their children in fear that one of the male children is going to be Musa, because he was told by those who used to see the prophecies that there is going to be a male child born in Egypt who is going to grow up and overthrow you from your throne. So he came knocking on every door, killing women and children just to find that male child. Of course, the mother of Prophet Musa, she could have done many things just to save herself. But her faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those most difficult situations made her a winner and a successful individual. Wow, Allah helped her. Allah revealed upon her that, O mother of Musa, وَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ, throw him in the Nile. Allah will protect him. Allah will protect anyone that holds on fast to their faith and iman. Let's go.
Sorry, just to cut you off. I think what's amazing is that when you look at the story of women in the Holy Quran and also the story of women in Karbala, and just objectively speaking, you find that it's almost as if the women are so much stronger than the men. They've sacrificed so much. Maybe I don't want to say more or less, but they seem to always be sacrificing. They seem to always, have that incredible fortitude and courage. And these are the women that stand out in Islamic history, which I think is amazing.
Of course, we come back to Karbala. and the women in Karbala, as they stood in front of a battlefield full of men that wanted to fight and go to war with their men. Similarly, we see that life on this world and this time is fighting fiercely with our beliefs and with our practices and with our lifestyle. The same way they sacrificed everything they had for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which was to save the banner of Islam. Today, we living in the West, we have the same responsibility to look after the banner of Islam. It is our responsibility. Today we need a female similar to the wife of Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, who encouraged and pushed her husband to go and stand by Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Tonight, we need individuals to renew their oath and say the same way the wife of Wahab, the Christian, on the day of Ashura, pushed her husband to the battlefield. Today we are going to hold on fast, and we are going to stand fast, holding to our belief and to the message of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Tonight, we need individuals like the wife of Habib ibn Mudahir al-Asadi, when he told her that I have a letter from my master Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He was still in Kufa, in his house, amongst his family. He told his wife, I have a letter, I've received a letter from my master Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, asking me to join his camp and to support him. Do you know what the wife of Habib said to him? She said to him, by Allah, if you do not go and neglect the son of Rasulullah, I shall dress in the clothing of war and I will go to Karbala. These were women who sacrificed their life for the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And we have a noble lady, just before Karbala by many years. Truly, this lady, whatever I say about her, who am I to come and describe this lady when Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib chose her to be his wife? And this lady is no doubt called Fatima bint Hizam al-Kilabiyya, entitled by al-Baneen, by Amir al-Mu'mineen. al-Baneen, the mother of the sons. The night of her wedding, take her as a role model, my sister. Take al-Baneen, the young female that entered the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib, as a role model today to save you and to protect you from the path of the harm. al-Baneen, on her wedding night, she told her father, oh father, do not go, do not leave me. Why, oh Fatima, what's happened? She says, oh father, there is one thing I want to do, and I will come out and say if you can go, or I will come back with you. Fatima goes inside the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen. She sees Hassan, Hussein. They were a bit unwell. She sits by Hassan and Hussein. She says, oh masters, Sayyidai, would you accept me to be a servant in the house of your father, Amir al-Mu'mineen? Who am I to come and replace your mother, Fatima al-Zahra, and be a second wife to your father? I am here to serve you. I am here, your maid. This noble lady came and lived in the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and every time Ali ibn Abi Talib used to call her Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima, she used to look in the eyes of Hassan and Hussein, Zaynab and Kulthum, and noticed that their eyes started becoming watery. It's as if they wanted to cry. Why? Because the name of Fatima reminded them of her, of their mother Fatima al-Zahra. See the amount of sacrifice this lady goes through? She could have said, well, my name is Fatima, I don't need to change my name. So she goes to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib and she says, Ya Ali, from this day onwards, do not call me Fatima, call me another name. Amir al-Mu'mineen gives her the title of al-Baneen, the mother of the sons. Why the mother of the sons? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen said to Aqil when he wanted to look for a wife for Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ya Aqil, اخطب لي امرأة أولدتها الفحولة من العرب كي تلد لي غلاما يكون ناصرا ومعينا لأخيه الحسين في يوم كربلاء. The sole reason that Ali ibn Abi Talib got married to al-Baneen was that she gave birth to 4 lions who would stand by their brother Hussein on the day of Ashura and be a backbone to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And they were. When Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was born, she came carrying Abbas to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen receives Abbas, uncovers Abbas's arms. Now this is the sacrifice of a mother. If a mother is looking at me tonight, remember Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and his sacrifice on the day of Ashura, and see whether you are sacrificing like al-Baneen. Amir al-Mu'mineen takes the arms of Abbas out. Al-Baneen is looking at Amir al-Mu'mineen. What is Ali going to do? Amir al-Mu'mineen kisses the right hand and the left hand of Abbas. Al-Baneen sees Amir al-Mu'mineen, starts crying. Ya Ali, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is wrong? Is there anything wrong with the arms of my newborn Abbas? Amir al-Mu'mineen says, no, Ya al-Baneen, but I know that these arms on the day of Ashura, they are going to be severed for the sake of my son Hussein. Upon the time that Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas grew up, became a handsome young man, the day came that she needed to pay her final farewells to Abbas. The caravan of Imam Hussein was leaving the city of Medina. She called Abbas and his brothers. She sat down with them privately. She said to Abbas, I want you to be in charge of your brothers on the day of Ashura. What, mother? What's happened? Ya Abbas, no, the sole reason that you were born was that
اللهم ارزقنا حرام